Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be discussing the whole GameStop fiasco that's been kind of taking over the whole stock world this week. Also kind of talk about if it extends into next week. We'll discuss all the brokerages halting all of their trading for these stocks. And we'll get into that and a whole bunch more, including if I'm even going to stay with Robinhood. So hang tight and we'll get into it. All right, everybody, as always, as a reminder, if you don't mind, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button down below. Helps support the channel, helps us keep putting out more videos. So today we're going to be talking about GameStop, GME. Now, unless you've been living under a rock or you haven't watched any news this week, there's been some pretty big kind of little guy versus big guy, David versus Goliath, in regards to individual investors versus the hedge funds. Not too long ago, if you've seen Wall Street Bets on Reddit, again, you've probably seen all this in the news, where they determined and they found throughout public record that most of the GME stock had been shorted or was being bet against, almost in an unfair way. That's something that had kind of driven the value of that stock well below what it's probably truly valued at. So these Reddit users got together and started buying the stock, thinking that it might make them a little bit of profit, and in doing so, kind of caught these hedge funds in a prime position to kind of take advantage of them. So these individual investors started dumping in money, buying more shares, which made the hedge funds have to come back and buy them back at a higher price. But then Reddit gets on it and tries to not have those stocks be sold at all. They're just holding, buying more and holding, driving that price up and trying to get the hedge funds to buy them back at a much higher price. And it tended to be working. I think a bunch of people jumped in. They threw their money at this. It's been kind of a wild thing to watch. And I want to think that even the average investor, myself included, as much as I discussed dividend investing and being incremental and being smart and not really taking any huge gambles, even I threw in a little money on GME. In full disclosure, I threw in $500 and I bought 2 shares at $2.50. I caught them on a big dip one day. And within 24 hours, doubled my money. The stock price was just shooting outrageous. So these Reddit guys and the individual investor really had these hedge funds on the ropes going into Thursday morning. There was some talk that the price was just kind of right there, about to shoot out of its shoes, when the big news came on Thursday morning that Robinhood was going to suspend buying of these stocks. GameStop, AMC, BlackBerry, a few other stocks that the Redditors had kind of trying to take over and were flexing it with money. But Robinhood just stopped them from buying any more shares. And so they came out that morning after stopping the buying of these stocks, and they were discussing how the SEC requires them to have so much capital to fulfill these orders and how it's not truly commission free from their end. But comes across PR-wise as one of the dirtiest moves I've ever seen. So when Robinhood stopped the selling or the buying of these stocks, it created a small mini mass panic. Everybody started selling out of their positions. The price absolutely tanked. Me personally, I had kind of set a stop loss on mine. I basically just got back out with my money. So I cleared my $500. I got out. And that price continued to drop down to like in the 150s or so. All the while, everybody's calling foul on what Robinhood has done. They've manipulated that market into a major sell-off. If you're not going to allow the people that use your platform to freely invest in the stocks of their choosing, that's manipulation in its finest form. So I completely understand why people kind of panicked and got out on Thursday. I mean, if they're not going to allow the buying of the stocks, then they kind of rewrote the rules to let the big hedge funds and the suits win. Like, they've rewritten the rules because they were taking such a chunk out of their pockets that now it's kind of screwed the individual investor. And that's I mean, it's incredible. Obviously, there's going to be a ton of lawsuits behind it. People probably lost a ton of money. You got to give it to the Reddit guys. Most of them are holding strong. They still believe that short squeeze is coming, probably next week. Well, and that's another thing. I'm curious on if it does continue next week. Is that momentum been stalled from what Robinhood did? And of course, they opened it back up on Friday, and you saw their CEO Vlad go all over, CNBC and all the other all the other shows and talk about how they were protecting the individual investor. Protecting them from what? Making money? Like that's what they were all making money, and you stopped that. Your platform created to bring in all these individual investors, to bring new people into the market. And the second that they're being successful, you stop it because it's hurting the people that are funding you on the back end. Nah, it's complete garbage. And he looked like an absolute deer in the headlights on these TV shows. So then they go into Friday and they actually open up the buying again, but in a limited basis, which basically meant that they were limiting the amount of shares of those stocks that they were going to move. And then throughout the day, they started limiting the amount of stocks per person that you could buy at one time. So if I were to go buy a stock at 10 o'clock, they would only allow me to buy 2 stocks. That's it. There were no fractional shares. You couldn't instantly deposit any more money. So you were stuck with the money you had in your account. You could only buy 2 shares at a time. And then later in the day, they dropped that to 1 share at a time. And each time that they did that, you could easily see the stock price started rising. And then they said, only 2 shares. Boom, it starts dropping because now people are just seeing the system getting rigged. And they're starting to pull their money out saying there's no way we can win this. And then you see the troops kind of fortify and it goes back up and they go, no, just 1 stock. And then you saw a nice little sell-off on Friday afternoon. Just an incredible move by Robinhood. It's completely transparent that they have somebody pulling their strings. I know M1 Finance and Webull, everybody kind of suspended theirs as well, but they brought theirs back within a few hours. And I can understand that being more of a capital issue if they didn't have the money to truly take care of all these stocks. And maybe Robinhood was the same way, but Robinhood's feels differently because of the way that they have marketed themselves as the ones that want to bring people into the market, especially beginners. And it looks and it smells like they turn their back on them. You know, if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's a duck. There's going to be lawsuits. There's going to be investigations. It was awful. So with all this going on, I told you I had brought out my $500. Well, at a certain point, I just kind of wanted to support the movement. It turned into an us versus them. I bought back in with 2 more shares at $350. I don't care. Again, it's not financial advice. Me personally, I think $350 was way too high for me to buy in, but I just want my money in there to support them. I think what has kind of happened is it's kind of a big moment. There's going to be a lot of inquiries and regulations that are going to come out of this. Are the regulations going to go more towards, hey, you can't short a stock more than a certain percentage? Who's actually manipulating these markets? Are there going to be inquiries into who's controlling that? Are the hedge funds talking after hours behind them? Are they doing any kind of a short ladder to bring those prices down amongst themselves? Is there any collusion involved? And those are all legit questions that I think are kind of being brought into the forefront of all this. So I'm kind of on board. I know it's a complete gamble. Please don't do it at this point. I had a little extra money. I wanted to support the cause. I'm going to hold until I possibly can, and I kind of want to take it to the suits a little bit. I'm kind of in the revolution, if you will, and that goes into next week. A lot of people finished in the money with their calls on Friday. Those shares have to be assigned. That's less stocks for the short sellers to be able to buy back. So it's going to be pretty intriguing going into Monday's market to see what happens. I'm going to drop this video on Sunday, so I'm going to be watching just like everybody else with bated breath on Mondays. So this is definitely a little bit different of a video for me, where normally I talk about my dividend investing and kind of how I'm trying to accrue my personal wealth goal and get that a little higher. But this is a seminal moment in American history with Wall Street. I think it's going to bring about hopefully some real change. But it's been exciting nonetheless just to kind of be a part of it. And then that brings me, what do we do with Robinhood? What do we do with these smaller brokerage apps? M1 Finance, Webull, I think E-Trade, TD Ameritrade all suspended their trading. I have very personal views of, I don't want people telling me what to do with my money. If you have my money and you're providing me a service, I want that service provided to me if I deem it so, or else you're not going to take care of my money. I think there's going to be a pretty solid mass exodus out of Robinhood and out of some of these apps, specifically Robinhood. Like I said, Robinhood smells a little bit different than what happened in M1 Finance or some of the other brokerages. It definitely smells like collusion with the TD Ameritrade and Robinhood and E-Trade and those things. So I'm kind of curious on what others like myself will be doing. Again, I'm kind of a new investor. I definitely don't have, a six-figure or higher portfolio that I would have entrusted with a larger brokerage. But I think that's kind of where my heart is going. I don't want to be with Robinhood anymore out of principle. Like I said, it smells fishy. If I want to buy GME, if I want to put my entire portfolio toward that, that's not your call to tell me that you're protecting me and you're doing me some service. That's my money. I want to do with my money what I will. And I think that's kind of at the heart of this whole process, especially with Robinhood, is if you're not going to provide me a service, why am I with you? So my gut is telling me that I'm out of Robinhood. I need to start really researching brokerages. I need to research where I trust my money, where I trust that they will provide me the service that they've promised me. So, we'll save that for probably the next video. Maybe we do a research video and kind of see what the best route to go is. I know if you're going to transfer your stocks out of Robinhood, there's going to be fees. There's going to be some hoops you have to jump through to make all of that, go smoothly. As well as a waiting period. Normally, I think I was reading if you're transferring to one brokerage to another, it kind of takes a week. Well, I've got my stock in GME. I'm going to hold it in Robinhood. So I'm going to hold Robinhood until all of this is over. And then I'm going to be looking into possibly moving that over. So yeah, this channel was, kind of built as my own vlog. Again, not really financial advice, but just kind of to keep myself honest with what I was doing with my finances and to kind of watch myself grow over, the next few years. And it's been kind of based around, around the apps and around Robinhood. But I think it's time to kind of graduate to a larger, more trustworthy brokerage. And that's natural. I mean, I've only really been doing this channel for about a month or so. And I've only been investing seriously for about a year. So I guess it's a good vlog type video to see the progression of where I am in that journey. And I think this whole GameStop AMC short squeeze scenario has really kind of brought that out and shown what kind of investor do you want to be. I definitely want to stick, most of my money obviously in the safe blue chip dividend stocks, but I also want the exposure. The last video I did was regarding, kind of the more growth stocks in my M1 Finance portfolio with Apple and Microsoft. But also I kind of want to get away from a lot of the Wall Street stuff. I might try to open up some Bitcoin and Ethereum or some kind of cryptocurrencies. I might want to dabble in that a little bit and just kind of diversify myself even more. It's something I need to research. It's something that I need to see what works for me. So again, I want to make this video kind of be completely forthcoming with everybody and say I really don't know. I definitely want to continue with 90% of my portfolio being the dividend growth type stocks, but I do want exposure in other areas just to make sure that I'm protected and I'm diversified on all fronts. So yeah, I appreciate you guys joining me. I mean, I hope you have a blessed weekend. I'm very curious on how the next week goes with the short squeeze. I'm rooting for you guys. I definitely don't have as much money tied up in it. It's definitely absolutely a gamble. If it goes to zero, I know what I'm in for because it's my money and that's the risk I'm willing to take with it. But thank you guys for joining. Drop in the description. Are you in GME? Do you think it's completely stupid? Hit us up. Let's have the conversation. Have a great weekend, guys, and good luck next week.